Welcome to Book Fairies First Look. I'm your host, Micki Bare. Today, I am thrilled to be joined by children's author Maya Myers. Maya's debut picture book, Not Little, was named a 2022 ALSC Notable Children's Book. She's also a freelance book editor and publishing project manager, working with both authors and publishers on all sorts of books, from phonics readers to memoirs and everything in between. She's a former kindergarten teacher, K-5 literacy teacher, and piccolo player. These days, these days when she's not wrangling words, she's probably cooking, digging in the garden, playing a board game with lots of pieces, or surprise, reading. Maya grew up playing in the woods on the coast of Maine in a little town that is still almost 30 miles from a stoplight. She attended
True.
Duke University and has called North Carolina home ever since, of course. She lives in Charlotte with her husband, author illustrator Matt Myers, 3 kids, 6 chickens, and a 23-pound cat.
It is true.
Welcome, Maya. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Oh, of course. So before we get started, let me tell our viewers about your newest release, Not Perfect. Dot is good at a lot of things, but good isn't perfect. Perfect is her sister's blue ribbon painting, or her brother's first place tie in the spelling bee, or mom's black belt in Taekwondo. Dot tries and tries, but nothing she does is perfect. When she needs to make a poster about someone she admires, it's easy to choose her best friend, Sam. But draft after draft comes out looking all wrong until Dot finally loses her cool. Fans of Dot and Sam and new readers alike will melt as Dot keeps on trying in this relatable companion to Not Little. So, what a wonderfully relatable tale for young readers, perfect for fostering that early passion for reading. So, what inspired you to write Not Perfect?
Well, several things. I was going to just show you, this is my first book, Not Little. And of course, I didn't know what the characters were going to look like until I actually saw the first dummy. And when I first saw this first spread that showed Dot and her great big family,
Hmm.
I thought, oh, I got to do something with this family. So I knew that if I wrote another book about Dot, it would feature her family. So that was kind of where I started.
Okay.
And then I think perfectionism is just something that most of us struggle with on some level. I certainly do. I have for my whole life. And that is, for me, the best thing about getting older is that I hold myself to a less ridiculous standard in that regard. And I was hoping with this book to kind of get that message out there to kids sooner than I learned it myself,
Nice.
which is just that, all we can really do is try. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
We
So,
just try and we try.
yeah. And especially the younger siblings are always trying to keep up with the older ones.
Yes.
So that's what makes this so
Yes.
perfect. So what do you think makes Dot that endearing character?
Well, she doesn't have anything to hide, she just puts it all right out there. She is full of emotions and you know exactly where she's coming from all the time. And that's kind of my favorite kind of kid. I mean, all the kids are great, but I love, that's what I love about younger kids is that they just tell you exactly what they think and exactly how they feel. And it's not even so much that she wants to be older than she is or bigger than she is. She just wants to be taken seriously and she takes
Mhm.
herself seriously. And I think everybody kind of has that little part of them that just wants to be heard. And she puts it right out there.
So did you tie in or intertwine some of the students that you had when you were a teacher?
um, yes, I did. And also one of my own kids and some friends of my other kids
Mhm.
who just, when I first did Not Little, and I wanted to write a story about a kid who really was very small in the body, but big in personality. I had met so many kids who were tiny and just fireball personalities. And so I wanted to represent that kind of kid.
Nice.
and just give them, I don't know, the power to speak
Mhm.
and be heard. Yeah.
Lovely. Wow. So let's go back a little bit. Do you consider yourself a perfectionist? And how does that play into the writing process in addition to the book itself?
Um, well, I always have. As I said, I've always kind of identified as a perfectionist, but I feel like the older I get, the more forgiving I am. And interestingly, that has actually been come about through my work as a copy editor and proofreader. Um, I realized, that work is all about trying to make something perfect.
Mhm.
And it just no matter how good you are and how hard you try, you're going to miss stuff.
Mhm.
And when I first started to realize that, I became instantly more forgiving of other people's mistakes and of my own. Because I know that I gave this my all and I missed something, or maybe I missed more than one something, and we all do. And it's why so many people work on a book. For, for one thing, why there's so many different sets of eyes on the book.
Yeah.
um, but it it just made me see that all we can do is try our best, and
Mhm.
that's really it for life. Like, even if you do something perfectly one time, it may not be perfect the next time.
Right.
So so just, yeah, I would say, um, as far as the writing process goes, um, I I've had to teach myself. I may be a perfectionist, but I'm also not the most patient person in the world. So I have had to teach myself to wait. Like, if I write a new story and I think it's great, I can show it to my husband, but I probably ought to just wait. And I cannot show it to anybody else. So it's best if I can put it away for a month or even more, and then come back to it and try to read it like it's not mine.
Mhm.
And then it's much easier for me to see what could be better or what could be different.
Right.
Um, but I do, I guess my point is, I'm not waiting for perfection, but I also am interested to hear how other people perceive it. And I don't get super hurt by feedback, critical or praise, or I just kind of uh, have learned to take what resonates with me and let the rest of it go.
Nice.
So, which you also do when you're reading reviews of books, um, and they're not all perfect ever. So you just kind of take what you can take and
Yeah.
release the rest. Yeah.
So I actually love that you wear these multiple hats in the publishing world. You work as a freelance editor. Does
Mhm.
this ever inspire your own writing?
Yes, it does. I would say that the most times that has happened, I mean, I do freelance work for a lot of different publishers and also for authors, but um, sometimes I'll get something from a publisher. Usually, the younger it is, the younger audience it is, the more likely it is to make me think, "Oh, I want to try this." Um, I do get picture books sometimes, but mostly I feel like if I hadn't done a lot of reading of young chapter books, or early middle grade stuff, I would never have dared to venture into that realm. But sometimes I read books for kids that age, and I know that age really well because I taught that age kid, um, emergent readers and early readers, and I just I will get not even so much inspired by the plot, but sort of the mood of the kid or the voice of the kid makes me want to find a kid like that and come up with some kind of story about them.
That's cool. Wow, that's
Yeah,
really neat. And that's what, writers, we read and read and read, and that's part of what makes or helps us become better writers.
absolutely.
So, and you kind of mentioned this, so you also have your first chapter book series out this year.
I
How
do.
did you get into writing for these the older readers? These aren't that's not the voice that you've been doing. So how did
No, it's true. I actually, it wasn't my idea.
Wow.
I'm going to give the credit to my agent, but I didn't think of it as credit at the time
Mhm.
because I had written this story as a picture book, and she really liked it, and I really liked it, and it was all ready to go out on submission. She had a list of editors and everything, and then she sent me an email and said, "You know what? I've been thinking about this, and I don't think this is meant to be a picture book. I think it's meant to be for older readers, and I'd like you to go and try to write it as a chapter book." And I went, "Oh, okay." And I was kind of mad about it, and I didn't go back to it for probably about a year. And then I did, and I immediately saw how I could do it, and it was so much fun because I, I didn't have the constriction of the word count. You know, I I didn't have any exact parameters to work with. It was just a matter of knowing how kids that age are with each other, which I feel like I do know because I know kids that
Right,
age.
this is K-5, yeah.
Yeah, and I just kind of let it come out. And I wasn't sure how long it would be. There's such a big range in that age level. I mean, it can be anything from 3,000 words to 10,000 words. And I ended up landing, I think, my first, well, not first draft, but the draft that we ended up submitting was about 7,000 words. And then the editor who bought it said that she wanted it to be a 72-page book, and so that meant cutting about 1,000 words. But that was easy to do. I mean, she helped me, and I also do that for other people.
Mhm.
So that was a, just an unexpected experience, and I really, really liked it. So I hope to do more of that. And I ended up, when I sold the first one, she wanted a series, and so they wanted four,
Nice.
and I had to write the other three in about 6 months, and
Ooh,
they're all coming out this year. I
wow.
like two of them in January, two of them in August. Um, so it was fast, much faster than picture books. Uh,
Well, yeah, yeah, because 'cause you're not, working also with the illustrator and all of
No,
that.
they're
It
illustrated.
is. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
They're not, no, they're not completely, I meant to
Uh-huh.
bring them out here, but, they're not completely illustrated. So these are the first two. The series is called Rosie Woods, and the first one is Little Red Riding Hood, Writing, and that's the one I had written as a picture book.
Okay.
So I really love these illustrations. I think the kids are so like weird looking and cute, and I wanted them to not be too cartoony, but I really didn't have any choice. We never do, um, in how it's going to come out. But uh,
Oh, wow, okay.
it's great. It has, sometimes they have that kind of graphic novel panel feel, but sometimes they are full bleed illustrations. There's a nice one of her
Okay.
grandmother, and they're just beautiful. I love the illustrations. So that is the first one. And then this one is called Jack and the Bean Shock. And it's about a science experiment. They're all
Oh, I love it.
set in a third grade classroom, and they're all based on curriculum points. So the first one is obviously ELA stuff,
Mhm.
reading, writing, how to write a story. This one teaches about the scientific method. Um, and then Rosie Locks and the Three Bears is about a group research project that they're doing at school.
Oh, nice.
And the Three Billy Goats graph is about a competition they're having at school where they're making a graph. And they really are not fractured fairy tales. It's just kind of, the title is a play on a fairy tale. And then there are some little Easter eggs hidden throughout, um,
Wow.
from the draw from the fairy tale. But the story itself isn't isn't really that close to the fairy tale. But
That's
they
so
were a
cool.
lot of fun. And they
No.
have a lot of social emotional stuff in them too. It's not just curriculum. It's probably more about friendships and relationships and figuring out your own frustrations and things like that. So
Oh,
they've
that
been really fun.
that's great. Well, now that we piqued everyone's interest, how can the teachers, parents, librarians, all the others, stay up to date with you and all of your books?
Well, you can follow me on social media. My handle is at Maya Myers Books. on Instagram and on Facebook. I don't use that Facebook account as much, so Instagram is probably the best. I also have a website. It's ohmayaword.com.
Love it.
And I will put all of my upcoming projects there. And there also are some teacher resources there. And there, in particular, there's a writing activity that goes with this book that would be great to use either in the classroom or for a kid who's inclined at home.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, and I will, there you can sign up for my newsletter if I ever write a newsletter. I have yet to do it, but
But you have so much time.
you can definitely sign up. And what I will not do is just throw you a bunch of junk because I just won't. But if I really have something to say, or if have a new book coming out, I will let you know through there. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank
Yeah.
you so much for joining me today, Maya. It's been great talking with you.
Thank you so much, Mickey. It was really fun.
And congratulations again on the release of Not Perfect. Such an
Thank you.
adorable
Thank you.
book. Thank you.
Thanks. All right.